Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? Today is the 21st of April 2025, and I'm coming on to update you on a number of things that are happening on this channel. Also wanting to review some recent work that I've been doing in Holy Week, and I've been recording on Facebook and Instagram. And I think what I'm actually going to do is stitch all of those 5 or 6 videos together, and I will put them up on YouTube underneath my Christ teaching playlist, because I think they are a good reference point for probably every Holy Week leading up to Easter Sunday. Now, I signed off yesterday, Easter Sunday, after doing that work, thinking job done for another year, and of course woken up this morning to the death of Pope Francis, rest in peace. So I feel as though I need to just say something with regards to what I'm getting, with regards to the symbolism around his death more than anything, the day after Easter Sunday. It does very much tie in, though, with the last video that I put up yesterday on Instagram and Facebook on Easter Sunday itself. So I will paraphrase what that is or was, because it's an energy that I'm still feeling today. But those of you that have followed me over the last week on other social media can probably for yourself see the strands of energy that we're following, and the rebirth moment that I was describing yesterday, which felt very different, being absolutely tied into the Pope's death being announced this morning, and what that means going forward for us, for the wider world, and for the church itself. Because I believe that even though we are in times of great awakening and ascension, and there are more people, well, there's always a wave that maybe is leaving institutionalized religion, but there's also a wave that goes back into institutionalized religion, because I do feel it's important to maybe experience all flavors of spirituality whilst we are here on earth, or if we don't experience it in one particular lifetime, all of the different flavours, we certainly do over our past lives and future lives. So there is something to be learnt from being within church or institution, and there's something also to learn from being outside of it. Those of you that might not have watched my last video that I put up here on YouTube, it was called I Left the Church But I Never Left Jesus. That work was also very much tied in to the work that I want to bring through in this video as well. I look back and I think that those of us that have been following this flow, we've been spot on with regards to honouring this new strand of energy that wants to come in and that will precede this man's death. Okay, so where to start? Let's just start with today's events. So many people surprised, I have to be honest, I was surprised that he made it to Easter Sunday, and I did say that about a month or so ago. I didn't feel that he would be here by Easter Sunday. I said to you, didn't I, that, I wonder what the church are going to do, or the Vatican are going to do without having a Pope on Easter Sunday. Well, he was there. He didn't lead the service. He didn't look particularly good. Did he look on death's door? Who can say what anybody looks like on death's door? Because to be perfectly honest, death is a natural part of life, and people can drop down dead like that, looking completely normal. People can also die looking very different to how they did in the prime of their health. And it can also be anything in between, I've certainly seen some narrative on the news this morning sort of stating, he didn't look like he was about to die yesterday. And I think that is quite a shallow reflection, to be honest, because it assumes we know what death looks like when it creeps up on us or comes knocking at our door. But I think the timing of it is, of course, very interesting, and it's that I particularly want to look at. And the date and the numerology of all of this as well. Being completely honest with you guys, okay, I just have to say what I get. My first instinct when I heard the news this morning was, I wonder whether he did die today or whether he actually died on Easter Sunday. Now, if he actually died on Easter Sunday after he was shown in public, just follow me here, allow me a moment just to flow into what I'm feeling here, because I might not be right. It was just a first initial hunch. There's no way that they would, of course, announce his death on a day of rebirth for the church. So in many ways, it doesn't really matter, the exact timing of it, whatever we're told, because I don't believe everything that we're told a lot of the time anyway. But he certainly died since he was seen in public yesterday, between then and his announcement of death this morning. But yeah, you know, Easter Sunday, the day of the resurrection, the day of new life, new hope, new light coming in. Rebirth moment for all Christians and followers of the faith. So whether it was on that day that he died or whether it was literally a couple of hours afterwards, because he would have had to have died some point, you know, quite soon after, or as I say, he was last seen. You see, the words are choking me. Easter, I can't even say it that he died on Easter Monday, but the point I'm trying to make, my friends, is that this is a rebirth moment for the church. The symbolism of it is very, very big. Let me just get some water. Now, I don't know how it's been in your country over Holy Week, but for the first time in a long time, I have noticed within my country, UK, there being chatter, online chatter, with regards to growing interest in faith, okay, Christianity, the story of Jesus, whether people are going back into the church or whether they are just, as I'm doing, you know, left the church but never left Jesus, and just getting a growing sense of Christ-centered awareness within themselves and heart-centered consciousness. There were pictures from, I think, Trafalgar Square in London, some of the major cities, big outdoor events and commemorations linked into Holy Week and services taking place. I noticed even on the dreaded X, Jesus was trending. You know, Jesus was trending on X in the UK. You know, it just felt as though there was a moment, a wave coming. Maybe also in relation to people feeling as though the bedrock of their country or the faith upon which a particular country has been founded is under attack in some shape or form. UK being a Christian country, always has been a Christian country, but also hopefully always being tolerant to other faiths and other religions as well, but not wanting to maybe lose its core identity or flavour. So maybe a bit of a reaction against an attack on that. I will say that, you know, there is an attack on that, and it comes, I think it's very orchestrated. Even I noticed on, you know, the Easter eggs that I've bought my girls this year, again, I don't know if this is happening in all countries, but the removal of the word Easter egg from an Easter egg. They're just called eggs now. It's as though we can't have Easter mentioned. Well, why not? Because it is an Easter egg and it means something to many Christians. I noticed also I think it was the official announcement from the Home Office yesterday in the UK on social media. It just showed not a cross, nothing linked into the Christian faith, because it is a Christian celebration. I know it has pagan roots as well, but, you know, it's a Christian celebration. That's what most people are celebrating. It was just a post with a purple egg, I think, and it just said happy. It certainly didn't did it say Happy Easter? I'm not sure what it said, but I know it was getting a lot of flack from people who were saying, you've literally removed Jesus from this whole day of remembrance, celebration, etc. Anyway, so with all this being said, feels as though there are more people waking up to the importance of the crux of what Jesus taught. Maybe not necessarily the church itself, but certainly what he taught, what he stood for, what you identify as. And in all of this moment, we have the Pope who, whether you liked him or not, whether you respected him or not, many people did, of course. He dies the day after one of the biggest dates in the Christian church's calendar, if not the biggest. Now, a little bit of numerology here, and then I'm going to go back to what I actually feel is happening with regards to this renaissance of faith. No, in fact, let me read you something first, because this is important. So this renaissance of faith, for some it will be about going back into an actual building and an actual structure. For many of us it won't, particularly those of us like myself who've done that. We've been there, done that, not being funny, but we've worn the t-shirt, okay? We've just done it for decades. So I'm not personally going to go back into a building. But as I say, I never left Jesus, even though I left the church. There's a poem here that I posted, interestingly, the number 22 weeks ago on my social media, and I can't tell you who wrote it. I actually thought I had lost it. It was a poem that always stayed with me about what I believe, what I really truly believe, and it's this. Okay, it's just short. It says, when I said love one another, I didn't mean with sticks. When I said suffer little children, I didn't mean make them. I didn't say anything your heart doesn't desire. I didn't threaten death and damnation lightly. I didn't mean that I was the chosen one, the only son. I just meant look inside, see if I was wrong. And I didn't want the plastic statues or a following. I just wanted everyone to heal the sick and feed the hungry, and to make love your goal, believe your soul. Not me or my deeds will fill the needs. You know the path, the way to the goal. Don't follow me, but your soul. Don't fight in my name, but your own. Fight with love and love again. Fight until our soul love rains down. Don't build a new Jerusalem that's been done before. Arm yourself with truth and love. It's time to end the war. I found that in a diary that I'd just written the words out. As I said, I don't know who wrote it, but it's beautiful, isn't it? Because it was always that line about I didn't want the plastic statues or a following. I didn't want the trappings of church and money and all of the ornate things, even though, yes, they're beautiful, and I love going around beautiful churches and I can honour beauty that is in those places, you know, beautiful stained glass, etc. But it feels as though I wanted to say the old version of church had gone too far that way and had lost its soul, actually, without even getting into the details, of course, of the abuse that's been done over many generations and lifetimes in the name of Jesus, with the either the backing of the church or sheltering, you know, by the church. Certainly with regard to something like Church of England as well, you know, cover-ups, not just the Catholic Church with regards to child abuse, etc. Jesus would be absolutely horrified at what's been done in his name, as well as all of the wars. It's this thing about just coming back to the heart. And what I find interesting about the Pope's death is he died on the 21st, and the 21st, you see, what I was shown by Metatron was, do you know what the 21st card is in the tarot? The 21st card is it's the last major arcana of the tarot, and it is the world. It is the completion of the cycle. Now, you could view this as it was his completion of his cycle. But isn't that true for all of us when we die? We have completed the cycle of being whoever we are in this lifetime. I think this runs much deeper. I think that him dying on the 21st, with all that he stood for and all that he represented, the head of the Catholic Church, is saying that that version of church is done. And I'm not meaning to offend anybody by saying that, because I don't believe that the church is ever not going to be here. I think there's always going to be a version of church, because for some people, they are always going to find comfort within structure, within coming together, within being in a building, being with each other. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's as though the version of church, the version of the Catholic Church up to this point in time, that feels done. It feels as though it's gone through all of what it needed to express, if you think about it as a living energy made up not just of the people that serve within it, but the people that belong to it. That the whole energy of Catholicism is due for a renaissance. And all major religions, there is nothing in our world that is not going to be touched by an awakening moment, which means change, which means reformation to some degree, which means evolution, most certainly. And if we actually look at the date, the 21st of April 2025, it actually adds up to 16. 16, again, is the energy of from the tarot, is the Tower card. It's the tower that collapses because it is not built on firm enough foundations anymore to survive in its current form going forward. That doesn't mean that it doesn't survive completely. It means that it has to change form in the same way that the Pope himself has to change form. The title Pope is bestowed on the next one. And I did get some very interesting information about who this next Pope may be and the qualities that they're going to possess a couple of months ago, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But yeah, he dies on the 21st, so we have the completion of the cycle. It is done. Whatever the church was maybe able to get away with, whatever it stood for, whatever it represented, any rotten parts of it, anything that no longer can stand and evolve into new earth, is being eroded. And I'm being shown, it's interesting, an energy. I'm being shown something like an oil rig in the sea, but I think it's just symbolic of a structure in the sea, in water. And it's as though the long legs of this oil rig, the oil rig represents the church. And interesting, of course, because oil is money and church is often about money. But the wooden structures going into the sea are rotting beneath it. So the foundations have to be cleansed and swept clean. And I'm also being shown the crypts underneath the Vatican, and other churches probably too, but the Vatican in particular being swept clean of all their secrets, anything that lies beneath that needs to be exposed. So this is big. This is a big moment of revolution and evolution for the church, much bigger than it normally being when a pope dies and you wait until the next one is appointed. Now, the symbolism also of him dying on Easter Monday, we know that, or it's said that Jesus, if you follow traditional scripture, stayed on earth for 40 days before he ascended. Of course, there are other traditions which talk about the fact that Jesus was brought down half dead from the cross and actually lived out a life overseas with Mary Magdalene, where he seeded the Holy Grail and the bloodline across other countries as well. But that is maybe for another day, and I have talked about that in other videos anyway. But I'm just bringing it in because there is this time period that's important now of transition. There's also, of course, a period which is important for people to mourn. And I think it's very important as a spiritual community, we allow other people respect in their mourning. Because number one, this Pope Francis is important to millions, if not billions of people around the earth. He is, as I say, whether you like him or not, or liked him or not, one of the most important spiritual teachers on our planet. For many, might not be for you, might not be for me. I never had a personal connection with him or a great affinity with him or his energy, but that doesn't matter, because that's my perception. That's my connection with him. But I'm fully aware that for other people, he mattered. So you are respectful with regards to what people are going through and what he stood for them. And ultimately, these crumbling institutions and crumbling structures that need change and evolution to come into them, change is never easy. It's never easy. And I've said years ago that I feel it's very important that we go into our heart and we remember that what you might be, I mean, I'm not saying you are, but for some, they might be rubbing their hands in glee that, for example, the Catholic Church is having a moment of dissolution, let's put it that way, and weakening, which is not a very spiritual thing to be thinking in the first place. But be very careful with those types of thoughts, because there's going to be something that happens to you in your life. There'll be a structure or an institution or something that you place value in, that when that comes up for its moment of evolution and renewal, you're going to find it difficult also. There's going to be nobody on this planet that doesn't go through a moment where something that they've looked up to, or they've honoured, or it's been an important part of their life, there is some type of exposure that comes up, or there's certainly rottenness that has to be eradicated and removed for the new to be born, basically. So yeah, please, let's just watch I can almost feel, and why I wanted to say something so quickly is that I know, unfortunately, how some portions of the spiritual community behave, which is completely unspiritual in moments such as this. It's a bit like when the late Queen died, there was so much people stamping and dancing all over her grave, and that I think is just completely vile. Personally, I have no place for that in I just don't want to see that on my channels. So we have to respect where different people are, what they believe and what they are affected by. And these tower moments that are going on up and down, our world on a regular basis now are only going to escalate. So I also am being told now that this moment of the Pope's passing is going to be a coming together for the church and a strengthening for the church in many ways. And it's very interesting that I don't know when it was maybe 2 months ago, I did a video and I didn't post it. Now, I think I redid the video, so I have said some of this online. I can't remember what video it was in. But the raw material, when it first came through, I didn't post. And the reason I didn't post it was about the new Pope to come. The reason I didn't post it was purely because I was using cards and they were all completely out of focus. And I just thought people are going to be complaining that they're out of focus, they can't see it. So I didn't put it up. But the gist of it, from what I can remember, because I've tried to find it this morning and I don't think I've got it anymore, but I was really surprised because what I was picking up was the fact that the new Pope to come was going to be quite a breath of fresh air, actually. And it was a twist. It was as though when they get appointed, it's almost as though the old guard, I think there's a fighting between the old guard within the Vatican and the new guard, but it's almost as though the old guard, whether they're happy with the choice or whether they think it's a compromise, but they're sort of okay with whoever this person is, they feel as though there's going to be a continuation of that has been done before, let's put it that way. Whoever this guy is not who they think he is, but it's in a good way. It's in a good way. This energy that I was picking up on felt to be very inclusive, very awake, for want of a better word, very knowing, basically, that he has to drag the Catholic faith and not necessarily the faith, but the institution, the Catholic institution, into the modern age, taking the best of the past, but also renewing it in some way. Because, and it was really, really strong, this feeling that this guy was going to be quite the revolutionary in a way that they didn't see coming. Almost like as soon as he's in, he starts to change things, and it's like the old guard is like, hold on a minute, we thought you'd agreed to not do that or not rock the boat too much. He's going to rock the boat. And I don't know who he is, but I got the feeling, I felt as I quite liked him. It was like quite a nice energy coming through, almost as though, you know, Jesus was giving a nod to this one. It's like, yeah, this guy's a bit more on track. No disrespect to previous popes, but I just feel as though there's a good guy coming. I hope I'm right in that. We'll see. A lot can change with regards to the whole manoeuvrings. And of course, I read this a couple of months ago before the Pope even died, so things could change. But it was definitely a very positive timeline that I was tuning into. Because you see, I think where we're at right now is if you've watched my work for the whole of this week, as I say, on Holy Week, I've been referencing the early church a lot, and I've been referencing the energy of the disciples a lot. And really been, even though it's been a week, yes, about Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, etc., I've really felt as though the star characters this week for me have been the disciples. And more because that's where Jesus has asked me to put my focus. And the more I think about that, I think it's to do with honouring those who try to build something new in times of great uncertainty. And I think that's where we are now, that I'm wanting to say the new church, which, again, if you followed my work, I'm talking about church also being linked into the forest, you know. It definitely doesn't have to be within a building. It's to do with community. It's to do with coming together with like-minded people. There doesn't have to be a middleman. I'm sorry, but there just doesn't, you know. The church, the forest being your church just as much as some, you know, dusty old building. But it's as though there are stewards coming forward of this time, in this era, a bit like the early disciples were, to guide people with regards to how we do this in a changing world, that something has to give. The tower is falling, and for us to survive as an energy, we have to change, and we will, but we're going to be radically different. So look out for that. I feel as though this new Pope is part of that somehow. And I'm just trying to feel into other religions or other parts of the church, particularly my own, for example, in Church of England. And, you know, it's like I'm looking for a bright spark here. And at the moment, it doesn't feel as though they have fully come onto the world stage, or they've been allowed to come onto the world stage. But I'm feeling a nod to the Church of England as well. And I'm only saying the Church of England. I'm sure it's also true of other aspects of Christian church. It's just that's the one I'm familiar with. So, but yeah, this new Pope is important. But we also have to honour the passing of the old Pope, of course, as well. So, all of that being said, my friends, I think all that remains for this video is for me to pull some cards from my own Christ Consciousness deck and to see what we get, okay? Let's see what we get, as I've done for the whole of Holy Week, on Easter Monday. It's called Easter Monday. So, the Pope having died, what guidance is there, please? Jesus. Pope's death. Let's just have an energy of the Pope's death. I thought that was going to come up. I'll talk about that one in a minute. I was really feeling the energy of Joseph, as in the father of Jesus. Yes, and he's there on the bottom of the deck. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the one that's coming through is forgiveness, the energy of forgiveness. You see that? Forgiveness. Forgiveness sets you free. many different ways we can interpret that. It might be that you have an energy of antagonism towards the Pope or the church. I know many people didn't watch my last video, I left the church but I never left Jesus, because I think people were wrongly thinking somehow I was going to be, I don't know, I've had some sort of, new age to Jesus moment and I'm going to start preaching at you all. No, I'm not. I'm the same Amanda I've always been. I've always been like this. I've always had Jesus in my heart. I just felt it was a moment to come out and reiterate it and just say, yeah, this is a huge part of who I am and who I've always been. But yeah, I do understand people who see the name Jesus or Christ consciousness or church or Pope in a video title, and it's almost like, I don't want to go there because I've had a bad experience in this lifetime, or I've had a bad experience in the past lifetime. I mean, hey, haven't we all? Haven't we all been burnt as a witch probably in previous lifetimes? I know I certainly have. But we also might have been one of the people in the Colosseum fighting the lion, being killed for our faith. I think we've probably been all of it. I think I have been all of it. I suspect you have as well. So forgiving aspects of the church that haven't served us. I pulled this particularly with regards to this Pope. If things were to arise about him or come out about him in the future, there is forgiveness needed there. Or maybe it's to do with things that I don't know whether he did or not, but say he covered up. Certainly, let's take it back to Church of England because I know more about that. I think he is still the Archbishop of Canterbury. I don't think he's been replaced yet, but he's due to be replaced. They haven't found a replacement yet, but he definitely covered up abuse within the church, and or certainly didn't ring the bell loud enough to eradicate the rot that was there within the church. So, we can go two ways with that. What would Jesus say? Would Jesus say, pick up a stone and damn him? But the teaching is those who are without sin cast the first stone. No, the energy would be forgiveness. And it's a tough pill to swallow, I know, particularly with regards to the most heinous things in our world. How can you turn a blind eye to that? How can you pretend you don't know what's going on? But ultimately, a witch hunt is just going to lead to more hatred and negativity and toxicity in our world, and anger. So yes, there's a moment where the boil is lanced, and holy anger is appropriate. But beyond that, the goal is forgiveness. Forgiveness sets you free, and forgiveness sets you free. What was I going to say? Forgiveness, though, isn't something you just wake up and do in a moment. Forgiveness is a path. Anyway, the second card on the bottom of the deck, Joseph, father of Jesus. It says fathering and responsibility. I really feel as though I want to channel Joseph. I'm not going to do it in this video, but I really feel like I want to channel Joseph because there's very little known about him. And I've always loved his energy, just this practical humbleness, and the father, the good father, who helps us to learn, who helps us to build. Would it not be obvious that Joseph, the father of Jesus, absolutely would be coming in at this pivotal moment in the church's history to help it rebuild? If the boat is completely shattered, I think in my last video on YouTube, I did link into Joseph's energy a bit, and I think I said something, didn't I, about Joseph being the boat. It's like Joseph's energy was the boat upon which Jesus was in, and all the rest, but he was the boat. The boat feels as though it's shattered. It's been misused. It's been taken out in all weathers, against all the warnings, etc. That there's a new boat, there's a new ark that needs to be built. Basically, there's a new ark that needs to be built, and this is interesting. I'm just getting a download on something here with regards to the ark. Can't quite get. It's something to do with the fact that the ark, the story of the ark, Noah's ark, obviously linked into survival and the flood and protecting all the different species, etc. But there's also something here to do that there are many different reflections of that story, because Noah's Ark can also be an analogy of times where the church has had to change to survive. Can you hear the birds? Birds are agreeing with that. Let me just use the Joseph spray. So this is Beloved Joseph, Divine Protector. It's an aura spray. We make these aura sprays, and this is the Joseph spray. I just want to use this to connect him to him a little bit here. So we're doing this on the day that the Pope's death has been announced, bringing in Joseph. Yeah, you know, I'm being shown the shattered boat, and I can see Joseph in my mind's eye, and he's literally there, and he's picking up, I can see it, so beautiful, he's picking up the shattered pieces of wood, driftwood. It's a bit like being on a beach scene. And you know, beachcombers, when they come and they just pick up and they put in their bag to sort of clean away the debris. But there's also a resourcefulness about Joseph, whereby the old wood is going to be used to build the new as well. Because we have to learn from our mistakes from the past. Something here to do with the relics within the Vatican as well, pieces of the cross, the Holy Cross. But anyway, that's just all I'm seeing him do. He's picking up these pieces of wood. He's got like sackcloth on his back, and he's just putting the pieces of wood in. And I'll tell you what, more than anything, it's the energy that I'm picking up from him is very calm, very calm. Nothing's bothering this guy. Just very calm, very peaceful, barefoot, humble. We've done it before, we'll do it again. There have been many times in your history, he's saying, where the church has fallen into ruin and disgrace and disrepair. And this is one such time. But it feels as though it's not like today. It's like it's been going on for years. But this is going to be a pivotal moment. It's like a crossroads moment where there's this groundswell of love that comes back. For when I say church, you see, that word church has got connotations that are not good for so many people. He's saying that church is about gathering. He's saying it's to do with gathering. Gathering in shelter, gathering in one place, gathering in my name, Jesus' name, you know, gathering as a community. I'm being shown the caves, the Essene caves, where we gathered in shelter, we gathered in place to survive what was going on out there, but also to safeguard what was particularly important, and this energy of safeguarding as well. So safeguarding what is important. I'm being shown the moments of, like in my country, Henry VIII, where he ransacked all the monasteries and all of the beautiful pieces of artwork and icons got destroyed or put into the flames. There's something here with regards to Joseph coming into safeguard, to protect that which needs to survive, the seed, the kernel of the seed. Will survive and will thrive, but will be planted in different ground. It'll be planted in different ground. I'm feeling something here, and I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to offend any Catholics, but there's something about the moving of, when I say the moving of the Vatican, it's more to do with the Vatican always having been this place of power and prominence and pomp and ceremony, and power. More than anything, the power centre is there in Rome, but for whatever reason, and it could be through natural events as well that happen, this power centre is going to be moving, but it's going to be power that comes in a new way, in a softer way, in a loving way, in a way that isn't about money and show and domination. It's not about domination, and it feels feminine. It feels expressed in feminine ways as well, and I'm seeing the rise of the feminine within the church as well, within the Catholic Church in particular. You see, it came to me earlier, I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if the Pope was a woman? And I know that's like, of course it's not going to be a woman because it's not allowed to be a woman. But, you know, I don't know, this new whoever this new Pope is, don't think they are a woman, but they're much more inclusive towards women. And, you know, in the same way that the Church of England have got women priests, and that's taken a few years to bed in. And some people were just very against that and went out of the church and left the church, and don't know what they've done since, but it's staying. It's never going to go back to the way it was. There's always going to be female priests here in the UK. So watch this space for just the way that the female energy is going to be able to move into more positions of power than the Catholic Church. That will be something to watch and wonder at, but it's not yet. It's not necessarily even this year. But I think this new Pope is critical to the formation of something new. We've also got the card of gentleness on the bottom of the deck. Gentleness, respond softly. This new Pope has got a very compassionate, soft heart. Okay, anything else to say in this video? And then I think I will wrap this up. Wondering what to ask. I think I've probably covered it all. 40 minutes and 44 seconds, as I said, but I've shuffled the deck and I've got the same card that's come out, which is this one. It's the card of gentleness. Gentleness. It says respond softly. We've also got the card of Jesus, follow my lead. Yeah, and then this card, what is it? What do we call this? We've called this faith, find holiness within. But it's the story of the lady who touched Jesus's robe to be healed. And he turned around and he could feel some of his energy had left him. And he effectively sort of said to her, or he reminded her that the power for her to be able to heal herself was in herself. Because you see, I'm seeing this card now. It's almost like I'm getting the energy that he wants to beckon her to stand beside him. There's definitely an energy of the female rising. We've also got the card of unity. So very, very interesting days coming. And I think I will end this just by saying rest in peace to the last Pope, Pope Francis, sending love to anybody that needs it. And let's embrace these times of both change, disruption to the old order, but having faith that what comes is going to be a lot better, but without going into an energy of attack with regards to the past. Remember, with the card of forgiveness is very, very important. So I'm going to put this video up now. I will also, I think, either tag below or just add to my playlist on YouTube. If you'd like me to put the whole 5 or 6 videos from Holy Week that I've done, I'll post those up as well. Last thing to say, I'm going to do a separate video on all of this, but I have a new membership to join here on YouTube, and it went live a couple of days ago, but I haven't actually done the video to tell you all about it yet, but it is up and available. But I'll always be here providing free information, free teaching also. I'm never going to put Jesus behind a paywall or anything like that. I will always be here for you just to deliver on the messages of the day that are particularly important. And absolutely, the death of this man is one of those times in our world. But I just thought the symbolism was absolutely important to note today and give you a little preview of what's coming into the future. Please allow your new reborn light within yourself, and by that I'm just talking about the upgrade that came with Holy Week. What I was feeling yesterday and expressing yesterday, which was an energy of just, I titled it something like laying down the sword, not needing to keep fighting and waving a flag that I believe this, I believe that. It's a really beautiful, peaceful place. And it's the Rumi poem that I read out to you. So maybe I will read you that Rumi poem, which many of you know, but you might not know the full context of the poem, because that's where I found myself yesterday. It's where I still find myself today. And I'm bringing it up again because I think that back to the spiritual community, they can behave in very unspiritual ways at times like this. So please protect yourself and safeguard your energy, which is precious, and your light, which is precious, from a lot of the manipulative, nasty energy that's going to be out there over the next few days, particularly about this guy and the dancing on grave type energy. It hurts you actually to be exposed to that. To the ones that are doing it, forgive them, for they know not what they do, really. Let's end with this poem, Rumi. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Sorry, I'm reading you this as well because I think this is very much the new church. Okay, this is the new church. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the doorsill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. The world is changing. The world is evolving. Everything will flow and change as it is meant to. Let us keep an open heart, an open mind, and remember that we are all each other's brother and sister in light and in love. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back later this week with new material. Take care, everybody. Love you very much. Bye-bye for now. Bye.